Okay, so that was hello from Lucy, but this is the example that we left off in class. Our function was y equals x squared over x minus 2. We had found the domain. We saw that it was not symmetric, not even nor odd. By putting in negative x, we neither got exactly the same nor exactly the opposite. We also knew that there was a vertical asymptote at x equal 2, since that's not in the domain, and 2 would make the denominator equal to 0. And then we learned about oblique asymptote. So a reminder that a rational function has an oblique or a slant asymptote if the degree of the numerator is exactly one more than the degree of the denominator. And if that's the case, the way to find it is to do polynomial long division. So we did that polynomial long division in class and rewrote our function as x plus 2 plus 4 over x minus 2. That is the same function. 4 is the remainder, by the way, from the division. Now, if we think about what happens when x gets very, very large, all of this gets very big. So certainly our function's growing large, but the 4 over x minus 2 part, that's tending towards 0. So our function's going to behave like the line y equals x plus 2, and we call that the oblique asymptote. So just to recap, if a rational function, if the degree of the numerator is 1 more than the degree of the denominator, do a long division so that you can find an oblique asymptote, which will exist. Okay, also this function has no horizontal asymptotes. Remember that to find horizontal asymptotes, we look at the limit as x approaches positive or negative infinity. Anytime that the numerator, the degree of the numerator is larger, the function will get larger and larger and larger as x grows. So that means there's no horizontal asymptote. And now we're ready to do the calculus part. We're going to look at the first derivative, intervals of increase and decrease, and then and look at max and min values. And then the second derivative will tell us about concavity. So let's get back to our function, which is y equals x squared over x minus 2. And we're going to take the first derivative. So f prime of x, I'm just going to call this f of x, will be, I'm just going to use the quotient rule, the denominator times the derivative of the numerator minus the numerator times the derivative of the denominator over the denominator squared. Okay, critical points would be when the derivative is 0 or undefined. But here, when the derivative is undefined, that's when x is 2, and we know that 2 is not even in the domain. So while x equal 2 is not a point, will not be on the function, we're going to think about that because the function could change in concavity on either side of that value of x. So what we do need to attend to is the numerator. I'm just going to rewrite the numerator and distribute the 2x. So we have a 2x squared minus 4x minus x squared over the x minus 2 squared. And that's only 0 if, so we see here that f prime of x equals 0 whenever the numerator is 0, which is now x squared minus 4x equals 0. And now we're going to solve that. I think that's where we left off in class, but I wanted to repeat the very end and just review quickly. So I'm going to factor x. And we have x times x minus 4 equals 0. And here our solutions are either x is 0 or x is positive 4. Now, those are critical values. But I'm also going to position 2 on the number line because, as I mentioned earlier, I think I said change in concavity, but what I meant is the function could change from increasing to decreasing or vice versa on either side of that asymptote. So I'm just going to draw a dotted line to remind myself that that's just an asymptote and that cannot be a local max or local min. All right, so now we're going to test intervals into the derivative function. When the derivative is positive, the function will be increasing, negative, decreasing. And I like to put it in, as I've mentioned in class, I like to put test points into the factored form because it's easier to keep track of the signs, S-I-G-N-S. So for a value less than 0, like negative 1, when I put that in, here I get a negative times a negative. That's going to give me positive, which means my function's increasing. For a value between 0 and 2, like 1, I get, when x is 1 here, that's 1, and this will be negative. So positive times negative is negative, and so the function will be decreasing here. And we can see that we're going to have a relative maximum value at x equals 0. On the other side of 2, I'm going to pick 3. That will also be negative if you put it again into our factored form. So that's negative, function's decreasing. So in this case, on either side of the asymptote, the function continues to decrease. And then to the right of 4, like 5, that will be positive, that will be positive. So here we'll have, the function will be increasing, and we have a local minimum value at 4. And that's both those max and min are local, because you can imagine the function continues to increase and continues to decrease. Okay, so it's always useful to have some points to plot for our function. So the ones that are important, those max and min values, those, if it's easy enough, let's plug them in. So f of 0, if I go back to the original function, which is here, that's just going to be 0 over negative 2. So that's just 0. So we know the point 0, 0 is on the graph, and that's a maximum value, local. And then f of 4 will be 4 squared, which is 16, over 4 minus 2, which is 2. So that's going to be 8. So we know the 0.48 is a local minimum value. And at first sight, that looks very strange, and I agree with you. But remember, these are local. And remember also that 2 is a vertical asymptote, and that we're also dealing with a slant asymptote. So we've got to piece together what's going on first before thinking too much about those values. But you were right if you were slightly worried that the minimum is larger than the maximum. I just want to remind you that these are local. We'll take another look at that in a little bit. All right, let's go to our second derivative and think about concavity. By the way, if we were going to talk about intervals of increase, and write that in interval notation, because that's how you have to do it on the homework. So intervals of increase would be along the x-axis, right, from negative infinity to 0. We know the function's increasing right here. And it's also increasing from 4 to infinity, but not at 4. So I would say those are intervals of increase. And then decrease, written in interval notation, would be 0 to 2, 2 to 4. Because it's decreasing in both of those pieces. Some books might just say from 0 to 4 it's decreasing. I like to remind myself that at 2, the function doesn't exist. All right, let's get to our second derivative. So our first derivative was right here. So that was x squared minus 4x was our numerator, and the denominator is x minus 2 squared. All right, so let's take that second derivative, and we're going to use the quotient rule again. So low is x minus 2 squared times the derivative of the numerator, which is 2x minus 4, minus the numerator times the derivative of the denominator, for which we have to use the chain rule here. So that's 2 times x minus 2 to the first power, and the derivative of the inside is 1, all over x minus 2 squared. And so a reminder that we have that asymptote at 2. There could be a change in concavity on either side of the asymptote, so we've got to keep that in mind. But then the other places where we would look for an inflection point would be when the second derivative equals 0. So let's work on that numerator and set that equal to 0. So if you notice from the first part, I'm going to factor out. So here's the numerator, and we have the x minus 2 squared. And I'm going to pull out a 2 from 2x minus 4 to get 2 times x minus 2. And then here I can pull the 2 in front, and from x squared minus 4x, I'm going to take out an x so that I'm left with x minus 4 times x minus 2. And this is equal to 0 to find the inflection point. So it's a little messy, but here the idea is that if I have a difference, if I can change that to a product, when we have a product equal to 0, either one of the factors is 0 or the other one. So I'm going to try to do that by factoring out whatever I can from both terms. So we know we can pull out a 2 and an x minus 2, at least, right? Yeah. So I'm going to take that out, 2 times x minus 2, and then inside the bracket we'll have an x minus 2 squared from the first term, which I'm going to have to multiply out, and then minus an x times x minus 4. And so we're going to work inside of that bracket to simplify a bit. So now I've got 2, there's my x minus 2 with the asymptote. When we multiply this out, we get x squared minus 4x plus 4. And this is minus x squared plus 4x. Okay, so if I did that correctly, it looks like we have a lot of cancellation. Oops, a lot of cancellation in here. I hope I did that right. The 4x's cancel, x squared cancel. We have a 4, so this is 8 times x minus 2 equals 0. So the only time this is 0 is when x is 2. And we know that's not a point on the function, but it's possible that the function could still change in concavity on either side of 2. So we're going to look at a number line. We'll plot the 2, so there's really no inflection point on the function. All I'm going to check now is for intervals of concavity. There are no inflection points. But I am going to plot 2. We're going to test into the second derivative, which is here. And that will tell us the behavior of the function. So when we put a value less than 2, like 0, here will be 8 times a negative 2, so that will be negative, which means the function's concave down. And if I put in something like 3, here in place of x in the factored form of the second derivative, reduced in the numerator because the denominator is always positive, if I put in a 3, that will be positive, which means the function's concave up. And so 2 is an important point in our function, so it might be a good idea here to put 2 back into our original function so I can get the y value. And I forgot the original function. It's x squared over x minus 2, I think. Yes. No, I can't put 2 in. That's silly. I've been telling you all along that it doesn't exist there. That's so silly. Let me totally forgot. That was yeah. All right. So I think we're ready to start putting some of these ideas together to get a graph of the function. So let's see. We've got, let me try and see. I'm using a different application than the one I use in class. I may try this one in class. This one scrolls up and down and fits lines and functions also. But so let's remember that the line, let's go back. We have, oops, nope. Not used to this application very much. So the line y equals, where was it? Y equals x plus 2 was our oblique asymptote. So that's a linear function with a slope of 1 and a y-intercept of 2. So that means if I do that and a slope of 1, x plus 2, there's my oblique asymptote. Just going to make a dotted line here. Dotted line. We also have a vertical asymptote at 2. Now, I do think we found some values of the function. 0, 0 as a max, 4, 8 as a min. So to give you an idea of what's going on here, 4, 8 is going to be maybe over here. And 0, 0, obviously over here. And then we've got, if we think about increasing and decreasing, increase towards 0, decrease after, and concave down before 2. So here's what's happening. This goes like that, increases, decreases after, and concave down. And there's our slant asymptote, and there's our vertical asymptote. And now you might be able to see, I'm going to erase this a little bit here. That's going to be concave up after 2. And so now you can see that there's an asymptote, but then also look at what's going on here, right? And that's why, remember that we said 4, 8 is that local min, and 0, 0 is that local max? Well, it can happen because the pieces of the function are split up. And that does it, right? Let's just check that, yeah, for decreasing down to 4, increasing after, and concave up, that's this piece. And then prior to that, concave down increasing, and then decreasing with a vertical asymptote at 2. Okay, there's our function. Sorry this took a very long time, but I'm hoping that this clarifies this problem.